Hi, welcome to Chef Paradise Live. I'm Chef Ben. Today we're going to be looking at the one thing that every home cook is going to want to know. How do you care for your cast iron? Cast iron can last you a very long time as long as you look after it in the right way. It's a great conductor of heat, but at the same time, it's very porous. So you're going to want to make sure that we clean and season these things every single time we use it. If you have a dirty pan like this, you're going to want to make sure that you use something very abrasive to help clean off any of the burnt food that might be stuck on here. For that, we're going to use kosher salt. Don't be afraid to use as much as you want for this, because as you wash your pan, the coarse salt will wash down the drain. So we want to make sure that there's enough in here to do what you need it to do. The next step is going to the back to your sink to add the water in here and start scrubbing. For that, we're also going to use a chainmail scrubber. This is going to add to something that's very abrasive in here to make sure that we get off absolutely everything. If you don't have a chainmail scrubber, you can use a abrasive scrub pad or a scouring pad. You want to make sure the water is hot when it goes in. Again, it's going to help pull any of those little bits off. And for this, make sure you get really in there to get off every little bit. Once your pan is fully washed, you want to make sure you dry it off completely. Otherwise, water can penetrate into the pan and it can also create rust. As I just mentioned, you're going to want to make sure that your cast iron is completely dry before proceeding to the next steps. For that, we're going to use a nice rag and make sure we get off every little bit. That includes going on the handle as well as underneath. Now that our pan is fully dried, we're going to move into the seasoning step. For that, we're going to use the Lodge seasoning spray, which is basically an oil that we're going to use to coat the pan. We're going to coat both sides as well as the handle. The advantage of using this is that it's the spray, so it's going to go on evenly across your pan. If you don't happen to have it, a little bit of canola oil will work just the same. And we want to make sure you really rub that in so that you get every area of the pan. Once you've sprayed it on, now it's time to make sure you do rub it in as well. Again, you want to make sure you get the handle as well as the underside. Don't be afraid to use the spray here as you see fit, because each pan is going to be a little bit different in size, so play around with the amount of oil that you need. Now that we've done this, we're going to put it into the oven at 450 degrees for about an hour. Again, this is going to help make sure that we're cooking the oil into the pan. Like I said, cast iron is very porous, so with this, we're going to create a filler for those little pores, and it's going to create a non-stick surface as you create this over time. When we're putting it into the oven, we're going to put it in upside down. This is going to allow any oil that's caked into the center here to fall off. As well, we're going to put a sheet pan underneath. The reason for the sheet pan underneath is so that any little bit of oil that drips down doesn't burn to the bottom and smoke up your oven. Once the pan's been in for about an hour, we're going to take it out. Keep in mind, cast iron is very hot, so you're going to want to make sure you have a thick cloth or an oven mitt to do this. Once the cast iron comes out of the oven, it's time to apply just a little bit more oil to this. Again, we want to make sure that there's no water or spots on here where it has not been penetrated with oil. One accessory to keep in mind when dealing with cast iron is this. It's a little sleeve to go onto the handle here. This is also not going to heat up when you're using it, so it makes cast iron extremely safe to use after it comes out of the oven. Next step here is applying just a little bit more oil to the pan. This is going to make sure that I have a fully seasoned pan at the end. Again, we want to make sure we do rub into every area of the pan. That is the last step you need in order to season a pan after you've used it. Now, let's have a look at a brand new cast iron pan and how to treat that. For a brand new cast iron pan, Lodge sells their cast iron pans already pre-seasoned, but at the same time, we do want to make sure we do treat it in the same way we would as a pan that we've had for a long time. So for that, we're still going to apply a little bit of oil to the pan. One tip that you can use when cleaning your cast iron pans is never use soap in your pan, because soap is going to take off the oil off the pan and you're going to have to go back to your original steps of seasoning your pan all over again. If you follow these easy steps, you can keep your cast iron pans healthy and working the way they need to be for a very long time. Thanks for joining us on Chef's Paradise Live. See you again.